I found out my husband had another life the same day I brought him lunch to celebrate our anniversary. Welcome back to True Betrayal Stories. Today, I'm sharing something I never thought I'd say out loud. The story of how I discovered that the man sleeping beside me had been living an entire life I was never part of. This isn't just about infidelity. It's about the slow, suffocating realization that loyalty can wear someone else's perfume while kissing you goodnight. Some betrayals happen in a single moment: a text message, a confession, a slip of the tongue, but mine. It unfolded like a slow poison, drip by drip, year after year, until I woke up one day and realized I'd been drowning in plain sight. This is my story. I was 28 when I met Daniel. It was at a friend's wedding, one of those magical summer evenings where everything feels possible. He was charming in that effortless way, tall and well-spoken, with a laugh that made everyone turn around. He wasn't flashy or dramatic. He was steady, reliable. The kind of man who remembered anniversaries and fixed the leaky faucet without being asked. We married 2 years later and built our life in the suburbs. 2 kids, a golden retriever, Sunday brunches that smelled like coffee and cinnamon rolls. I worked part-time at the local library. Daniel climbed the corporate ladder at a consulting firm. Our life wasn't glamorous, but it was ours, and for a long time, that was enough. But somewhere around year 15, things started to shift. Daniel worked late more often. Business trips stretched from 3 days to a week. He'd come home exhausted, distracted, scrolling through his phone at the dinner table. I told myself it was just stress, that this was what middle age looked like. Everyone a little worn down, a little less present. I didn't question it. Not when he stopped reaching for my hand in the car. Not when he forgot our anniversary for the first time. Not even when I found a receipt for a hotel I'd never stayed at. Because doubt, I learned, is easier to silence than the truth. It was a Tuesday afternoon when the floor dropped out from under me. I had stopped by Daniel's office to surprise him with lunch, something I rarely did anymore. The receptionist smiled and waved me through. His door was slightly ajar. I could hear his voice inside, low and warm in a way I hadn't heard in years. I know. I'll be there Friday. I miss you too. I froze. There was a softness in his tone that didn't belong to work calls, a tenderness that used to be mine. I pushed the door open. Daniel looked up, and for just a split second, I saw it beneath. Not surprised, not panic. He ended the call quickly. Claire, hey, what are you doing here? I held up the takeout bag like a shield. I thought we could have lunch. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. That's sweet, but I've got back-to-back meetings. Rain check. I nodded, left quietly. Drove home in silence, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. That night, while he showered, I did something I'd never done before. I opened his phone. The passcode was still the same, my birthday. That almost made it worse. And there it was. A thread labeled only with a first name, Jenna. Hundreds of messages, photos I wished I'd never seen. Plans for weekends I thought he'd spent at conferences. Inside jokes, pet names. A whole world I didn't recognize, built in the margins of the life we were supposed to be sharing. One message stood out. Can't wait to see you this weekend. Love you, sent 2 hours ago. I sat on the edge of our bed, phone trembling in my hands, and felt my entire marriage collapse like a sandcastle at high tide. I didn't confront him that night, or the next. I just watched, studied him like a stranger. The way he hummed while making coffee. The way he kissed my forehead before leaving for work still, even now, like muscle memory. How long had he been doing this? How many smiles were rehearsed? How many I love yous were just reflex? I started replaying our entire marriage in my mind, scanning for clues I'd missed. That work trip to Denver. The weekend he said he was at a training seminar. The time he came home smelling faintly of jasmine, perfume I'd never worn. I felt like an archaeologist excavating my own life, finding fractures in every layer. The worst part wasn't the anger, it was the shame. I kept thinking, how did I not see it? Was I that easy to fool? Did everyone else know? At night, I'd lie beside him, feeling the heat of his body inches away, and wonder if Jenna was lying awake, too wondering when he'd leave, or if he ever would. Have you ever stayed quiet, just to see if they'd notice you'd stopped trying? Because I did. I stopped initiating conversations, stopped asking about his day, stopped reaching for him in the dark, and Daniel, he didn't notice a thing. That's when I realized I'd been invisible long before I found the messages. Listen, if you're watching this right now, and you see yourself in my story, if you've ever felt invisible in your own life, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button, not for me, for you. Because this community, we're the ones who survived. We're the ones who found our voices again. And in the next part of this story, I'm going to show you exactly how I took my power back. But I can only do that if you're here with me. So subscribe, and let's finish this journey together. I confronted him 3 weeks later, not with tears, not with shouting, just with his phone, open to the thread, placed calmly on the kitchen table between us. I know. Daniel's face went white. He tried to explain it. I never wanted to hurt you, but I wasn't listening anymore. I'd spent 3 weeks grieving a marriage that had already been over. Now, I was done. The divorce was quiet, civil, even. We told the kids together, split the assets, sold the house. Daniel moved in with Jenna 6 months later. And if you're still watching, if this story is hitting close to home, do me a favor, hit that like button. Because what happened next, it changed everything, and I want you to hear it. I moved into a small apartment downtown, near the library where I worked, and for a while, I felt hollow, empty. Like I'd lost not just my husband, but my entire identity. But slowly, something else began to grow. I started painting again, something I'd abandoned in my 20s. I joined a book club, traveled to places Daniel had never wanted to go. I learned that I liked my own company, that I didn't need someone else to validate my existence. One evening, a year after the divorce, I stood on my balcony watching the sunset and realized something stunning. I wasn't angry anymore. Not at Daniel, not at Jenna, not even at myself. Because I'd spent so long defining myself by what I'd lost, I'd forgotten to see what I'd gained. My life, my voice, my worth. I didn't lose him. That die found the woman I was before I forgot she mattered. Betrayal doesn't just break your heart. It breaks the story you told yourself about who you were. But here's what I learned. You get to write the next chapter, and the one after that, and you don't owe anyone a happy ending but yourself. Thank you for watching True Betrayal Stories. If my journey resonated with you, or if you've walked a similar path, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me, would you rather forget the one who hurt you, or remember the lessons they left behind? Hit subscribe if you want more stories like this, raw, real, and told with heart. And remember, your story isn't over. It's just beginning. See you in the next one.